still has some legs. We can very easily see an argument for gold moving to 1,300 and a little bit higher, perhaps, in the next couple of months. However, beyond that, we think prices will move sideways as the headwinds that we've discussed earlier remain in place. Indeed, we only see a more decisive rally for gold gathering momentum towards the end of next year, notably as the US dollar starts to move into a secular weakness or a more clear weakness. I'm going to move to silver now briefly. In contrast with gold, silver hasn't really enjoyed much upside. The price has been stuck in a $14 to $15 range over the past few weeks, and this has resulted in the gold-silver ratio rise to new cycle highs, in fact, highs that we haven't seen in a couple of decades. Behind this performance, we believe, lies in large part the fundamental weakness that silver is under. A big part of that relates to physical investment demand having been very weak for the past couple of years. And you can see from this chart that US purchases, US mint sales of US Eagle coins have been very weak for the past couple of years. And this is mirrored by the bar market in the United States. And ultimately, the United States has traditionally been the largest physical investment market for silver. Indian demand has recovered somewhat this year, but still, volumes are nowhere near as high as they were back in 2015, for example. In addition, industrial demand for silver that was extremely strong throughout 2016 and 2017 has slowed down considerably this year. This is very much a reflection of one single source of demand, namely the solar market. And what I've plotted here is indexed sales figures of DOA's powder as reported in the company's quarterly reports. And you can see that this year is significantly lower than it was than 2017. We're back at levels that we haven't seen since 2015, 2016. And while this in part may reflect market share losses, there is no doubt that the silver powder market for solar applications is weak this year, largely due to the change in policy in China. In addition to all this, all the fundamental factors, there is also the fact that the types of investors that we spoke about earlier, the more structural, long-term players from the asset management community that have started gradually moving into gold, are not traditionally interested in silver, purely because of the lack of quasi-reserve asset attributes that gold has but silver doesn't, historically. As a result of all this, we've seen that speculators have not really moved into silver in spite of historically low price levels. Looking at our forecast, similar to gold, we think silver has the potential to recover somewhat over the next couple of months, but beyond that, and for the rest of, for most of next year, prices are likely to move sideways and remain under pressure. Of course, this is all well and good, but for a Chinese conference, I think it would be very important to also spend a few minutes to think about what will happen to the CNY denominated prices. In other words, have a look at our view of what the RMB may do over the next 1 year. Of course, the big issue or the big headwind for the Chinese economy, and by implication the currency, is the outlook of the trade discussions and whether the trade war will dissipate or become more aggressive over the next few months. On that basis, understandably, there are a lot of economists in the market that have a pretty bearish view for the RMB. And while we do think that there is scope for the RMB to weaken against the US dollar somewhat, we think the extent of this will be quite limited. A big factor behind this is what we're noticing to be quite a swift response by local authorities. We've seen the required reserve ratio applied to major banks already having been decreased a number of times this year, and we think that authorities will probably be ready to do more if needed. Meanwhile, we're seeing the PBOC ready to inject liquidity to support the market through its medium-term lending facility. Another, let's call it, weapon in authorities' arsenal is the ability for local governments to issue more bonds and support local infrastructure projects. Based on all this, we think that it's very likely that the slowdown in infrastructure investment may be bottoming out, and we may see some acceleration over the next year. Certainly, if the outcome of the trade discussions is not positive. On that basis, as you can see in this last table here, while we do see scope for some further depreciation of the RMB, we think this will be very limited, and it will be followed by a period of improvement. I should point out that looking at the last observation on this table, the improvement to 650, this is premised on our house view that the US dollar will start weakening dramatically towards the end of next year. And with this, I will thank you very much and caution you that none of what I said was investment advice, and to ask you to please read our disclaimer. And if you lose any money by trading what I just said, please don't come and ask me why. Thank you very much.
好的，谢谢尼克斯先生的精彩演讲啊。
Thank you, Nikus. Thanks for your excellent presentation, and we are more confident for metal in the future year. Now we're going to invite the other speaker, which is the Traveler Raymond from WPIC, who is going to analyze the markets of platinum and palladium. It is also what I am looking forward to. Now let's welcome Trevor. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Firstly, a thanks to the Bank of China for inviting me to present at this Precious Metals Innovation Forum. It's a great pleasure. For the last few decades, platinum has been a metal associated with innovation, and that is still true today. Platinum is at the forefront of innovation that is making the way we live better, making the air we breathe better, making us live longer, and also improving the way we invest. Before I explain some of those aspects, let me first introduce to you the World Platinum Investment Council. The World Platinum Investment Council was set up in 2014 by the 6 South African platinum mining companies, Anglo American Platinum, Impala Platinum, Lonmin, Northam, RB Platts, and what is now Sibanye-Stillwater. We are a cost center, and our purpose is fairly simple. It is our job to grow the global assets under management in platinum. We do this in two ways. Firstly, we provide data, analysis, and insights into the global platinum market to help investors and fund managers around the world make better informed investment decisions regarding platinum. Secondly, when people want to own platinum, we certainly try to make it easier, and we try to ensure that there are platinum investment products that meet their needs in their jurisdiction, whether that is a bar or a coin or an exchange traded fund. We opened our office in Shanghai in 2017, and we've been making great progress. We have 3 partners in China. Firstly, the Bank of China, secondly, Hengfu, and thirdly, the China National Overseas Oil Company, which many of you know as CNOOC. The Bank of China has retail metal account products that track the price of platinum. And fortunately, both Hengfu and CNOOC are producing platinum bars that are on sale in China for retail investors. On the screen is our team. We are based in London, and we have our Shanghai office. Paul Wilson, our CEO, has been on the board of the Shanghai Gold Exchange, the SGE International Board, since 2015, and we see that is quite important. And we're happy that you contact any of us if you wish to know more about this market, more about investment, or indeed wish to partner with us. I know this is largely a gold conference, and many of you don't know too much about platinum. So let me explain a little bit about the platinum market. Platinum has 4 distinct demand segments, and that is automotive, jewelry, industrial, and investment. Platinum came to prominence in the 1960s in the refining of petroleum. And as then and is today, you get more high-octane fuel out of a barrel of oil by having platinum in the refining process. That same catalytic property, where platinum is present but does not get used up, is how platinum expanded in the 1970s and in California in 1975 for the 3-way catalyst that cleaned emissions from internal combustion engines. If you look at the picture on the bottom right, what you can see is that a very small molecule of platinum sits on a ceramic substrate, and toxic emissions coming out of an engine pass past that piece of platinum and convert from toxic gases to less harmful gases. And that's probably why the internal combustion engine was able to stay on the road as long as it has. We then just turn to jewelry. Platinum has established itself as the premier jewelry metal in many, many markets, and it's really hard to find a diamond bigger than 1 carat that isn't set in platinum. It's always necessary to have the best metal for the best diamond. If we look at industrial uses, the picture on the screen is a hard disk drive from many of your computers. And even though in your laptops many computers are going from hard drives to solid state, what we do know is cloud storage is becoming increasingly large. There are several million pictures added to the cloud, I think every minute. And the large computers that handle cloud storage certainly still use platinum in their storage, which increases storage capacity significantly. And on the right is investment demand, and that is certainly our opportunity. We just look at again the global platinum market. On the left, what you'll notice is this market is about an 8 million ounce market per year. 6 million ounces come from mining, and 2 million ounces come from recycling. Some from jewelry, but mainly from autocatalysts. When a vehicle reaches the end of its life, the autocatalyst is removed, and nearly all the platinum is recovered for recycling. Another interesting attribute is that of that metal produced, 20% of platinum mined is as a byproduct. It comes from a byproduct of nickel in Russia and palladium elsewhere around the world. So most of the on-purpose mined platinum comes from Southern Africa. On the right-hand side, those 4 demand segments, as I mentioned, but if you look at the bar on the bottom, you'll see that platinum is used extensively across the world. China and Europe are the 2 largest markets, but used everywhere else as well. That diverse use that is highly beneficial in terms of its investment appeal. In terms of the investment case for platinum, one crucial aspect is that of supply, and we believe supply is certainly constrained. If you look at the graph, you'll see that platinum mining out of South Africa, which accounts for 72% of global supply, has been in decline since 2006. Certainly the weak price of platinum that has fallen for many years has resulted in those mines' output decreasing. But more importantly, capital expenditure on mining has declined significantly from over $4 billion a year to well below $1 billion. One of the other consequences of having underground hard rock mines is that over 50% of costs are labor, and those costs have gone up by more than inflation for more than a decade, and that trend is set to continue. So supply certainly looks like it's more likely to stay flat and very, very unlikely to increase in the short term. One unique aspect of platinum is promotion. So about 35 years ago, some of the same mining companies that fund us set up a company called the Platinum Guild International to promote platinum jewelry around the world. And platinum jewelry went from very little to almost 3 million ounces of an 8 million ounce market. But to have a mining company that affects the demand outcome of a commodity is quite unique. The World Platinum Investment Council has been set up to promote investment demand, and we certainly think there's room for that to grow. The reason mining companies do promote both jewelry and investment is that the high capital cost of putting a mine in place that can run into $3 billion and take up to 7 years to reach full production means that those mining companies would like to know that there's demand certainty in future, and jewelry and investment certainly helps that case. With regard to investment demand, prior to 2007 there were no ETFs, but there was an active market, particularly in Japan, in bars and coins. And if we look at that graph, what we can notice quite starkly when you compare it to gold is that despite the price coming down significantly over the last few years, the holdings in platinum ETFs have remained constant. You may know that during that same period, gold ETFs, for example, went from $40 billion to $80 billion and back to $40 billion. Platinum didn't suffer that, and one of the questions asked is why, and I think it links it back to innovation. This is a metal that is applied in many, many aspects. It facilitates things, and it's likely to be innovatively used and to grow over the next few years. So investors are seeing that the value is still there, but certainly not reflected in the price. So how important is platinum to China? Or maybe the other way around, how important is China to platinum? Well, China is crucial to platinum, but platinum does some good things for China too. And if we look at the bar chart there, we'll see that jewelry in China, platinum jewelry in China, grew from very little to about 2 million ounces at one point. And in fact, you might know that the clampdown of gifting of gold to state officials led to a collapse in gold demand. At a point where gold was down 40%, platinum was only down 27%, mainly because many people in China do know that platinum jewelry is better than gold jewelry, and the brand awareness is still extremely high. So I see that the enthusiasm that I observe when I go to Shenzhen, because the Shenzhen platinum jewelry manufacturers know something that most retailers really, really struggle to do, and that's to know what their consumers want. Many people in China know that platinum is better than gold, but a lot of jewelry stores aren't offering platinum. We think that enthusiasm is being returned to those markets, and I think that potential is great. Look at the left. That is a platinum 1 ounce bullion panda coin that is legal tender. If you can see the date on that, it was minted in 1988. The platinum panda coin, I think, should be reminted regularly right now. I think there is a national pride in China that China is proud of, and a platinum panda coin, I think, will be well received. I also think it'll be well received in global markets. I think the world is looking at China a little differently, and a platinum panda coin, I think there's a lot of latent demand for it. So we're encouraging a partnership to ensure that hopefully that gets minted as soon as possible. So if we look at the next few years on potentially why platinum is important as an investment, I think many people don't know that platinum is cheaper than itself. It's cheaper than it's been for many, many years. Platinum is also a lot cheaper than gold. and it's cheaper than its other sister metals, palladium and rhodium. And it does quite some remarkable things. I will elaborate on some of those too. It's also a hard asset, and we heard earlier in some of the presentations that China is looking to make provision for pensions. And if you're putting some gold into your pension, putting some platinum into your pension makes a lot of sense. It can also be used as jewelry along the way, which is quite comforting. Then just look at innovation in this market, and certainly the hydrogen economy is relevant. There are really 3 points that I'd like to make on this. And firstly, platinum is about 30 times rarer than gold. A statistic that maybe you can visually imagine is that all the gold ever produced over the last 3,000 years, if you took every bit of gold ever produced on this planet, it would fill 3 swimming pools, 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So you can imagine those 3 full swimming pools with all the gold ever made. If you took all the platinum ever made and you put it into an Olympic swimming pool, it would only come up to your ankles, about 20 centimeters. The main reason for that is platinum's melting point is 1,700 degrees, much higher than gold, and it couldn't be melted until the turn of the century. So it is certainly a precious metal, but it's also an industrial metal that does some really good things. I think that high temperature I mentioned is really important to glass manufacture and fiberglass manufacture, and China is some of the biggest producers of both of those products. So wind turbine blades are made from glass fiber produced by bushings that contain platinum and rhodium. And certainly all the screens on your phones and on your computers, platinum is involved in the production of those metals. The 3 important things for China, firstly is medical care. Platinum is unlocking aspects of medical care that many more people in China are being availed of medical care. Platinum also helps address the need for food globally. And platinum is also instrumental in cleaning the air that we breathe. Before I move off the slide, on the right-hand side, that is a heart pacemaker. And there's over 600,000 heart pacemakers used annually. The leads on that pacemaker are platinum. Many parts of the pacemaker itself are platinum. And typically anything that stays inside your body or is used during surgery that needs to be seen by surgeons contains platinum. The bottom picture is a pencil, and you can see how small some of those medical components are. And those things certainly are making a big difference to lives. Let me explain a little more. If we look at medical applications, I think in the 1960s, what doctors discovered is that if you put electrical current through cancer cells, the cancer cells stopped growing. And they tried to find a way to use this electricity to halt the progression of cancer. But it took them about 2 years to find out that it certainly wasn't the electricity that was making a difference. It was the platinum electrodes that they were using to apply the electricity. And that resulted in platinum drug development in the 1960s that is still used today. And over 50% of patients that receive chemotherapy are also receiving some kind of treatment from platinum-based drugs. Platinum also does a lot of good things in heart surgery, in vein surgery, and particularly aneurysms. Sorry, I've gone to the wrong one. Platinum, even today, something that's been done for years is finding more flexible ways to get platinum into the body to make life safer. Stents, for example, are platinum braided to make sure that they are visible during surgery. The other is agriculture and industry. From 1901, platinum has been used to produce nitric acid, to produce fertilizer. The need for food, as we heard earlier in China, is crucial. So platinum unlocks the additional provision of fertilizer for the provision of food. Equally important is the air that we breathe that I mentioned. And platinum's application in fuel cell electric vehicles makes sure that part of the battery electric vehicle growth, that it can continue, and that actually fuel cell electric vehicles are zero emission. They use platinum, and they are definitely part of moving to the hydrogen economy. China's energy saving and new energy vehicle technology roadmap indicates that there will be 300 hydrogen fueling stations by 2025 and over 1,000 by 2030. The estimates are about 1 million fuel cell vehicles in 2030, and estimates from a conference I attended in Rugao a few weeks ago were somewhere between 1 million and 3 million. We think heavy-duty applications, you can't exactly put a big enough battery to make an electric truck, but you certainly can have an electric truck that is fuel cell. So we think early demand from platinum will come from heavy-duty applications. China 6B is the emissions legislation that is getting it right in China. You may know that in Europe they got it wrong, that many cars emitted more on the road than they did in the test for type approval in the laboratory. China 6 is more stringent than Europe. It's more stringent than the US in many aspects. It also uses on-road testing to make sure that the vehicles emit on the road what they do. So China 6 certainly is going to use a lot more metal, and very interesting in terms of demand growth. So China is actually getting also incentivizing fuel cells is by recognizing that battery vehicles really move the CO2 from the road to the power station. And most of China's electricity comes from coal-fired power stations. So fuel cells really do make a difference to CO2 as well. I'd just like to tell you about investment opportunities. So what we do know is that platinum is a very small market, but platinum unlocks many other markets. If we look at the lines on those three charts, you might recall how wind energy and solar photovoltaic energy grew from nothing to mass adoption. And if you look at the green line, that is wind energy from 1992 to 2003 on its path to mass adoption. The red line is solar photovoltaic from 1996 to 2011, also on its path to mass adoption. And quietly in the background, many people don't know that all fuel cell applications have grown on that same trajectory. Now, in fairness, fuel cells weren't there to generate primary power. However, this makes the importance of their application starkly visible. What this does do is that there are many investment opportunities in China for people that are providing the infrastructure, fuel cell vehicles themselves, and the components and the materials. We heard the Shanghai Futures Exchange has a copper futures, for example. Platinum unlocking fuel cell electric vehicles means a lot more copper in electric vehicles and a lot more use of those futures in copper. So don't write off platinum as a small market, and it might not make a lot of sense in itself, but unlocking platinum unlocks a lot of benefits for China. We're going to continue to work with partners to try and encourage those sorts of applications to happen. Turning now to the gold investors in the audience. I think you all know that gold is a diversifier, and many people use gold as a diversifier. Well, unfortunately, platinum had two deficits in 2013 and 2014, and the price went down, which was unexpected and unexplained. This was metal flow from some vaulted holdings, but what it did do is it saw many people leave the platinum market as investors, typically as equity investors or holders of metal in vaults. So what we have now is a platinum price that tends to follow gold. And in fact, it follows gold very closely. If you look at the two examples on the screen, you can see that in June this year and in August this year, gold went below 1,300 and below 1,200, taking platinum below 900 and 800 respectively. So what I'm suggesting is if you're a gold investor, no harm in swapping some of your gold for platinum because, well, it's correlated 1-to-1. And if it stays that way, you've lost nothing. It's still a hard asset. It's still physical. But what you might find is if that platinum has a re-rating, it could be very interesting. Now, platinum is, as I said, cheap. It's cheap compared to itself, its other metals, and particularly gold. And if we look at what happened, if you go back for the last 40 years, platinum traded at a premium to gold for nearly 82% of that time. In fact, those of you that have been owning platinum jewelry in China for a very long time will recall that when the Chinese platinum jewelry market grew, platinum was $600 an ounce more expensive than gold. And people still paid that premium to get platinum jewelry because it was very special, and it still is. What I found strange was the linear nature of why platinum went from $150 premium to a $400 an ounce discount. And if you look at that period from 2014 to 2016, what happened was that trillions of dollars moved from active asset management to passive asset management. And passive asset management needs indexes, and all the commodity indexes contain gold. Platinum is not in any of those indexes because it's such a small market. So what happened there, many people might have thought that platinum was becoming cheaper than gold. And although they were both falling, what was happening is that gold was in more demand than platinum during that period. So there's no real reason for platinum's value in industrial applications to see it trading in that discount. And if you hold a piece of platinum, it's heavier than gold. It's just as special and just as physical. So it sort of makes sense that platinum should at least be the value of gold plus a premium for these fantastic industrial applications. So we think that's a great opportunity. I mentioned fuel cells and I mentioned China 6B. I think those two will be demand drivers in the short term for China 6B and in the slightly longer term for fuel cells. The table on the top says that if we only have 6% of the vehicles globally that are fuel cell, that would need about 3 to 3.5 million ounces of platinum, almost double what is currently used in the automotive application. So certainly fuel cells are a big deal. As I said, heavy duty early and light duty certainly 12 years out and maybe sooner. And on the bottom, China 6B, fantastically tough legislation. We certainly think the current price of palladium that was mentioned earlier and that might be explained tomorrow was the fact that you need more palladium to meet China 6B because China has gasoline cars, not diesel cars. Our view is that platinum will be substituted back into gasoline cars to ease that palladium price, and the palladium supply pressure or supply concerns is more important. We can go back to 2000, 2004, 2006, where we see that platinum, palladium, and rhodium do settle down when their prices become too disconnected. And right now we've got rhodium and palladium very disconnected from platinum, and that substitution is likely to repeat what's happened in the past because platinum was replaced, platinum did replace rhodium, sorry, start again. Platinum did replace palladium in gasoline cars in around 2000. So we think there's some interesting demand growth drivers. We think our opportunity to improve the supply chain of platinum products in China is good. We are actively working in this huge investment market to make it easier for people in China to invest in platinum. We would like to see a futures contract, a T+D contract on the exchange. We're encouraging people to do that. And remember, you might not make that much money out of having that product, but you will be unlocking a huge amount of investment opportunities and benefits for China. So sometimes these are great. I don't think when the US NYMEX exchange was put in place, they envisaged its size. It's still not big, but it's really crucial to the industrial applications of this metal. We have some strong partners. We're looking for more. We think we can help inject enthusiasm into this market and to change the cost structures and the suitability of investment products. And we look forward to working with many more partners in China to make this investment really great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your wonderful speech. We've listened to the analysis by the experts. I believe their speeches can be beneficial for your considerations. Next, we are very honored to have invited representatives from Commodities Department of Shanghai Futures Exchange, Global Commodities Group, Shandong Gold Group Trading Center, and so on. They will have a discussion on the topic of gold. Next, let's welcome Mr. Cai, Head of Precious Metals Business at BOC Trading Center, to be the moderator, and welcome all the dialogue guests to come up stage. Just now, Our two experts have made thorough analysis. They could not sit down, so great thanks for them. Good afternoon. I'm Cai Zhengwei.
Gives me great pleasure to meet all of you here and to discuss the precious metals, fintech, and innovation issues. Now, first, I would like to make a brief introduction about the guests on the stage. There were J.P. Morgan, Global Commodities Department's Executive Board, Mr. Lorji. The Shandong Gold Group Trading Center Chief Analysis Jimmy. Yu Yuan Gold Jewelry Deputy Deputy Chairman Zhang Jian. Beijing Gold Economic Development Research Center Liu Shan and China Bank of China's Internet Finance Department Director Huang Donghao. As we know, the fintech has been developing in bloom, and we have to think about how fintech affect the trading of gold is what we should consider, and we need what kind of measures we should take in the innovation of precious metal. Now, first, we'd like to invite Mr. Lorji to give some observations. Mr. Luo is the J.P. Morgan Global Commodities Department, and he is an expert in the financing of bulk commodities, and he used to work for the other investment bank. He has just come back from Singapore. Mr. Luo, I have just heard that the J.P. Morgan is going to set up a park with an employee of 1,000 employees in Silicon Valley, which is a fintech park. And I think that the J.P. Morgan has a big investment in fintech and AI. So can you make a brief introduction about how fintech support the transaction of finance? Thank you. First, I would like to express my gratitude to BOC for because he's because BOC is one of the most important partners of us. As for their fintech, I think in the recent 2 years, it is a very popular topic in the finance sector. As you know, the J.P. Morgan made a big investments in terms of the human resources and the facilities. And the chairman of J.P. Morgan said that we are far from being a bank. Instead, we are an IT company. Actually, we have more IT guy than the other traditional bank. As for the technology, I think that the market has been focusing on the blockchain, and if you look back to the blockchain, and you will find the development of the science and technology is involved with the science and technology. The finance and technology has developed together. They were brothers and sisters. First, we use a paper ledger, and then we have the paper currency, and then we have computer. And in the next step, we have to think about the decentralization and information sharing on the blockchain. Fintech should set a consensus that the decentralization and blockchain should be the trend, and we have the clear trend, but we have to think about how to implement it so as to seek a common development and a common investment. So there was many unknowns ahead. However, in the long run, we firmly believe that blockchain technology and fintech, it will be the trend, because the feature of the finance industry is to improve the transaction and improve the efficiency of the entity economy while reduce the cost. And we believe that the blockchain will help this industry to realize it. There were some consultancy company and a fintech company believe that in the future 5 to 10 years, due to the development of the blockchain, it will help their investment bank to reduce 30% to 40% of operation. The 30 to 40% saving of the cost is will finally deliver this benefits to the end user and improve the efficiency of the transaction, including the gold transaction. And come back to what you have said, that if we go into the details, there's blockchain and fintech and the disruptive technologies impacts to the finance. I would like to share my observation on this regard for the financial institutions, considering about the security and compliance of their transaction. This is the trend in the future's concerns. In the at the very beginning, the finance institution should offer the QIC diligence investment, especially the anti-laundering is of the top importance for us. The development of blockchain will play an important role in this regard to improve the efficiency for cross inter-sector and cross-department cooperation. For all the process include from the very beginning to the final settlement, their security and information sharing will greatly improved in terms of the efficiency. Thirdly, because the development of the fintech, the accuracy and the regulatory issue will be improved, so that the final data treatment and the reports system can receive a fruitful result. And looking back to the whole process, you will find that thanks to the improved efficiency, the whole financial institution, the requirement for the reservation rate money will be can be lowered, so as to reduce the cost, improve the efficiency. So this is my observation for that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Lord, because there were a lot of people are working in the gold industry. They want to listen to your voice about the precious metal and derivatives opinion, especially what the fintech can bring benefits to it. Talking about their physical gold trading, I think that there were the challenge for you guys is the source of the physical gold and the quality of the physical gold, and in the logistics process of the transaction. The three steps that I mentioned may have some problems, from the mining to the refining to the final end users receiving of the products. There were more than 10 institutions may get involved into it. So how the 10 institution can complete the service together in a trustworthy way and in a high efficient way. Without their disruptive technology, their traditional way of doing business may be low efficient. For example, they will use the BBP. For example, you can imagine how time-consuming it is when it involves 10 financial institutions into it. Maybe it will cost more than 10 days to complete their whole process from production to their end users. Maybe we can however, with the use of the blockchain, we can solve this issue shifting the time calculation base from days to seconds, and the whole process. In the whole process, we can ensure each and every bar may meet the requirements of the whole systems. As for the anti-laundering, it will be quite efficient for the regulatory institution. For their cross-border transaction, can also be quite convenient. For example, the BOC wants to sell something to the customer in India. If everything is done on the blockchain, things will be very easy and convenient. As for the derivatives, the bank has always told a story about that. In the past, you will see a lot of people standing in the hall of the bank, but now you only see a lot of computers setting in the bank. So this is the same to the derivatives with their computer technology and internet technology. We will change the way of doing business. It does not say the trader will disappear from the world. Instead, the requirement for the trader will be different. In the past, we have to think about how to serve the customer better in dealing business with them face to face. But now it is about how to improve their efficiency of the work by improve their regulatory principles. So it's a good news that the trader won't be unemployed in the future. A good news for them. So the next one is I would like to invite Mr. Jibi, who is used to be the work for the PBOC and the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and he has participated a lot of the research work of the gold policy making. Mr. G, I would like to listen to your opinion about the gold market innovation. Thank you very much. Talking about their gold business innovation, I think that the commercial bank has relatively complete system for this for such kind of business, no matter it is a public to public or public to private business, or futures, options, or swap. As for the public to private, we also have the precious metal products to the private buyer. As for the innovation, I think the most important is the innovation of the philosophy of operation. Just as what you said, there were three major shifts of the gold market, and I also have my own summary for the transformation of the gold market. In the past, we simply offered the channel, but now we need to optimize the service in the. For example, their individual wants to trade the gold. They need the platform like Shanghai Gold Exchange, but now they have more channels. There are more to do this business. We have 9.7 million clients. So the service relatively weaker, because as a commercial bank, we have considered more about the labor cost and the small proportion of gold business. So the time and their money and human resources we invest in this regard is relatively lower. So, and that is to say there was a big space for making an improvement. The secondly is it was shifted from buyer to seller. In the past, the commercial bank plays a role, important role. 70% of the trade is done by commercial bank. And the commercial bank is a party with a lot of money, so it plays a role as a buyer in the future. With the upscaling of consumption, the individuals gets richer and richer, and we have the people born after 1990s and even 2000s becoming our clients. So I think that we should change our role as a buyer to someone who to be a provider of consultants of. By doing so, we can improve the added value to the gold. And thirdly, we have to think about to shift from the standardized products to customized product.
So currently speaking, large commercial banks provide products, no matter it's in the physical stuff, in the account indexes, and so on. They are very standardized overall. We have the options, but in my own opinion, with the upgrading of consumption trade, young people have different consumption perceptions, whether we should cater to their taste. Those youngsters at 10 or 20 years old, they do not want to have a gold bracelet on their hand. Maybe they want some other products. We perhaps need to cater to their taste. The afterwards businesses of commercial banks should be changed. Maybe we can have a gold supermarket meeting the needs of buying and selling. And this is a comprehensive gold services, and we aim to become a comprehensive services provider for gold market. In terms of technical innovation, because for Bank of China and also Shandong Gold, we are good partners. We support each other very well. On the long-term business transactions, can you reduce the fees, the prices? Another thing is the financing. Not only the gold financing, but also the gold supply chain financing. For example, we have the upstream, lower stream, middle stream businesses. We have the refinery factories. We have LBMA, gold bar extraction. On the downstream, we also have the jewelry production companies in Shenzhen. So we have a very comprehensive supply chain. For core companies, we aim to provide comprehensive financial services for big and medium and small-sized companies at the up and middle and low stream of supply chain. And besides the supermarket, the gold supermarket, whether we can propose the gold payment system. Some banks are doing attempts in this, but I don't think that's enough. What does it mean? In the future, we now have the credit card, we have the debit credit card, but in the future, can we have the gold credit card in which we use gold to do the payments? Personally speaking, if an individual can withdraw gold through card or do some credit businesses, that is good. As Jack Ma said, without imagination, you can't make a fortune. So we should have innovative perceptions to promote the gold business development. Thank you. Well said. We need to have a dream. what if the dream come true, right? Later on, the debit card may also have the gold account. Actually, Bank of China has the gold account. Later, Mr. Zhang Jian. Yuyuan Gold and Jewelry Holdings Corporation. He is very experienced in this industry. For regarding the gold businesses, commercial banks cannot live without the gold processing companies. Among them, most are private companies. Further promotion of the businesses of those companies accord with national policies. In the future, what do you think are the opportunities for a bank to cooperate with these companies? Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And in our company, we do the Laomiao and Yayi, those two brands. We mainly focus on the gold processing and retail. Just now, we mentioned about gold leasing. Gold leasing is an approach that we have adopted for a long time. It is also a way to prevent risks. Among the gold processing companies, a lot of them are private companies. And when private companies request for the credit quota from banks, they encounter difficulties, even though they obtain the credit quota to some aspects, because they do not have such a mature credit in banks, so they suffer from high cost for the procedures. I hope that in the future, commercial banks can give more favorable policies to more favorable proposals or more favorable moderation for those private companies, help them expand businesses in gold market. This can also promote the development of the market. Then for the price fluctuation, gold businesses have a lot of risks. On my side, I hope commercial banks can have more targeted, more effective financial derivatives. I hope using those derivatives can prevent the risks produced by the fluctuation of gold prices. This can be beneficial for the business situations of the companies. This can also be beneficial for the market system. You've said a lot of questions on how to better promote the cooperation. Just now also we talked about whether we can pay through gold as a retailer or as a wholesale provider or as a manufacturer. I believe we should think about how can we give better services. I will give you an example. That is, commercial banks, whether they can have strategic cooperation with the gold retail companies, break the barriers online and offline. In such a way, investors can come to our offline stores and get physical jewelry products or gold products. They can get extra services through this way. Their products can also be enriched. For gold companies or for gold retailers, they can also fund a great cut into the market. They can also fund a channel through this. In such a way, this is mutual benefits. Of course, I'm only share my opinions on these several points in order to introduce more discussions among you all. I hope the communication can be of great value to the development of the market. The big trend now is about mutual promotion. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cao. And you have understand the Shanghai Futures Exchange introduced the new initiative to activate the innovative approaches. Bank of China is participated in this process as well. Now invite Mr. Zhu. He has great experience in commodities research and services. Thank you, Bank of China. This morning, Mr. He talked about the price. We have the spot price, future price, and other derivatives price. For gold, we mainly do like contracts. Right now, the transaction volume are mainly happening in June and December. In other months, there are not so many transactions. This brings difficulties to us. We have taken considerations of this and proposed solutions. This year, at the end of October, we officially began businesses to solve the problem. We have the 15 members online. You may search online about them. We have the Bank of China, we have the gold companies, we have the security companies as members. And our approach is achieved the great results. And you may see that the 190 contract today, transaction volume reached over 38,000. And this can be as a positive signal, and this gives us confidence. And later on, we will have more approaches dealing with the contract in the odd months. That is February, April, June, August, and so on. Provides more monitoring tools to promote the development in this area. And I hope you can have more attention on our approaches. Thank you all. Thank you. You will see the gold pricing system is becoming better and better. And then, Mr. Liu, you are all familiar with Deputy Director of Beijing Gold Economic Development Research Center for market reform in the gold industries. He has very solid research background. He also published a lot of works, and you can search the research results online. Mr. Liu is going to talk about under the new trend, the reform in financial sectors, and the opportunities brought forth by banks. Thank you, moderator, for giving me this opportunity. I feel that I will talk about the influence of gold to the financial sectors. I recently wrote an article. You can see this article online. The core idea is about, at this non-currency time period, is towards an end, and the gold currency period has been on the way. This is a change for humanitarian issues or the civilization. You will see that the impact of the gold market, it now shifts in the past, it shifts from the main market to the marginal market. So now it is deemed as a marginal market. But in the future, the gold currency trend will make this market as a major market once again. This will bring great impact for the financial system. It will have profound influence. I will not talk too much about this. You can search my article online. If you ask what is innovation, it's the recreation for human civilization. That is because we have experienced almost 50 years of pure credit currency system. After that, people found problems occurred. Those problems need us to prioritize the currency value of gold, and this can be good for the stabilization of the market. I hope you can pay attention to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. It is really a blueprint of gold portrayed by Mr. Liu as a target of the currency. The gold is really important. Thank you. Now I would like also to invite the Mr. Huang Donghao from the network department of PBOC headquarters. He is. Just now, Mr. Gong has said that he is the one in charge of the internet platform. Under the framework of build up the cooperation system under the globalization circumstances, would you please talk something about the internet development in this regard? Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The most popular topic of banking industry is how to deal with their technology under the big wave. The PBOC have proposed their innovation-driven and science and technology leading strategy. I believe the future 10 years will be the one for transformation of the traditional banking, and it is also a digitalized age for the bank industry. He who follow the trends and succeed in transformation or wins the future. Based on my own personal experience, I have summarized this, made a summary in 3A. That is to say, I summarize the trends of the internet service of finance. One is APP, and second is API, and next one is AI. So this is 3A. So the three concepts, this the mobile bank and open bank and artificial bank. The first one is a mobile bank, APP, and I believe that it not only includes the individual bank but also the company bank. And And we have seen that there is a number of years trends of online service. And a lot of people go to the mobile for bank service. I believe many of you guys have certainly go to their outlets for doing business in bank. However, you will always take out of the app to complete the business of money transfer and money checking, right? And according to the digitalization, according to the data, big data, we have found that the mobile phone visits is several times of that of their outlet visits of their users. And the ratio of online investment and money management is accounting for 80% to 90%. So that is to say, he who wins the mobile sector wins the future. And wins the key point of digitalization transformation. So the second one is API, that is the opening bank. It's quite a technical word. However, the key is it is a concept of innovation as well as a trend of innovation service, and I personally believe that this is a major transformation for the commercial bank. The core for API is open their service to the users by their by the API, and by API we can make full use of the technology of our partners. We can build up their business platform for our users. I would like to show you an example. For example, if you want to go abroad for overseas traveling, so maybe the bank service can be offered on their website, like TripAdvisor or etc. So that's to meet your need. For example, the BOC has successfully make our foreign exchange to the 10 cent, and I believe the gold can also be integrated with the website as well. So I believe there were major changes will happen in this regard. Thirdly is the artificial bank, AI. That is to say that by making full use of the big data and AI, we can serve our customer better. They will know our customer better. For example, we will have the AI customer service, offer them the customized recommendation based on their needs, and a marketing service, and we also have a robot advisor and etc. So in this regard, AI and the other technology will promote their more intelligent way of development for the bank. In the future, we will see the traditional bank will develop in this 3A regards, and continuously to promote the digitalized process. The final question. Would you please make the brief introduction about the service of your bank by connecting with the theme of today, that's the precious metal. Just now I would like to talk something about there's internet's precious metal, and I would like also to make full use of 3A. First one is APP. On the mobile phone, we have launched the gold trade service on the mobile phone, including their including their accounts of precious metal, and in the jewelry gold and physical gold, physical metal, and the structure asset management products related to gold. All of this product has been launched on the mobile, and all of the transaction can be done online. And we are continue to optimize the consultancy service. We hope to build up a one-stop gold section in the mobile app, and we have, based on this professional customer, we have a customized app called Yilonghui. In this app, the foreign exchange, gold, crude oil, options, and the rest of the types of products will be put in the professional app, and we will offer a on-time quotation and for the professional users, including the pictures and the data. And we also have the live stream platform will also be put on this app, which has won a lot of interest of their investors. Each in the recent years has seen a dramatic volume of the investment, which is about 1,000 trillion. So this is about app. As for the API, we have mentioned about the open bank. As for the open bank, the BOC in 2017 has taken initiative to launch our GPay Gold with GD Gold to Dongfang Fortune. The Dongfang Fortune's app. The Dongfang Fortune is a company in Shanghai. By channeling our asset products to the Dongfang Fortune, we have successfully enriched their types of service. By doing so, this is not only the original our original customer can buy these products on that platform, but the customer that not belong to a BOC can also buy product from it. So this is very successful case for us, and we have continuously cooperate with the partners, including the PB business, and it will continuously be launched. Under these circumstances, in the future, this bank will continuously cooperate with participants in the gold industry with an open attitude and with an aim of increasing the inclusiveness. There were a lot of opportunity to co-innovate together, just as you said, we can connect the online offline service together, and we hope that we can make the online appointments for the cash withdrawing with some partners. So this is an area that we should think about, and I believe in the future we have to think about to open the border and to co-grow and grown up together. And thirdly is the AI, and I think that as for the big data and AI, we can offer a customized service for the investor, and we can offer them a better way, a better model or better algorithm. And we have launched the robot advisor of the BS, and we can we can expand the portfolio to their gold and offering a better service for them. So I believe there was a lot of application of this technology. So this is the issues about the 3A. Now, in summary, I would like to say, as a matter of fact, China's gold market is a huge market. And the BOC is willing to open our arms to improve our service capacity and cooperate and grown up with our partners, and we sincerely hope that we can make full use of the power of internet and technology, and to strengthen our ability in the gold markets and build the gold market better and better. So that is to say, we want to make full use of the fintech to make a continuous innovation and so as to serve the customer better and service the whole gold industry in China. So once again, I really appreciate your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank
you for your excellent insights, and I really appreciate your insights. So this is the last section, which is also a very anticipated one. That this is a short but important awards giving ceremony. Now let's welcome Mr. Guo, Mr. Liu from Fuji, and
and also let's welcome Mr. Cai Zhengwei to issue the report. And Cai Zhengwei is head of precious metals business at BOC Trading Center. Yeah, the exciting moment quickly passed. Organized Bank of China China Shanghai International Precious Metals Annual Conference for today ends now. Thank you for your participation. We wish great success to your work and life and hope you cooperate with us more. Thank you.